These new features are going to give you more power to understand the physical topologies of a network and how the IoE devices are connected. Our new features include the customized generic containers, environmental settings with transference between each container, 3D container sizing, which allows you then to be able to build multiple buildings and all kinds of fun things. And then finally, icons for the container instead of just taking the background image. So therefore, you can create a building, but have a completely different icon for how it shows up inside a city or something else. So let's go ahead and look at how this works. First of all, let's talk about the new container icon that you see inside the physical layer. Right here you can go ahead and create a new container. So here's your new container, and let's say we made this office building container. We can name it whatever we want, and then we can go ahead and set the background. So as I click on the container and I go to the background image, notice I now have a height area. So these are all in meters right now, but I can go ahead and set these up as meters or set them up as feet and inches, depending upon your preferences. But you'll see that this really gives us a great scale, so we can set up any kind of length of cable that we want, and we can also have height for a different container. So we can have buildings, closets, we can have just rooms inside a particular building that has its own particular environment. The other neat thing then, of course, we can add we can browse and add a background inside our physical mode, just as inside of logical mode, but we can add whatever type that we want to relate to the student. So therefore this could be a building. I just put something in here very colorful, but I simply click on it, I browse for that image. I do recommend for backgrounds inside a packet tracer that the pixel size be 1800 by 990. Again, you can make this adjustment. Also make sure you use PNGs or JPEG files for your backgrounds. The GIF files and other file formats are not really supported. You can also add whatever height. So in this case, if this was really outside, I'd probably change this to 3,000 meters. That way we would have a 10,000 foot elevation in the United States. So again, when I do this, I do need to click apply in order for this to happen. One of the best ways to learn how to do this is to go ahead and open up a sample file, add a background, and have some fun with it. You also now have the ability to make an icon container. So if I made an icon or made this particular container and I decided I want it to be the data center building, well, I want it to look like a office building that's the data center. And so what I did is I created a data center icon, and most of the icon sizes you want to be smaller, otherwise they'll be the same image size as your overall window. So I recommend that you do a 150 by 150 pixel. Again, a PNG or a JPEG file is best for the icon. I also recommend, or you can see the use of gridding, and the grids are very powerful in the physical mode. You can make all kinds of different changes that you would like to your grid. You can set the color, you can set the sizing of your building. So let's say you make a specific container. In this case, I have a office building, and the reality is this building is 20 meters by 20 meters, and so therefore I have a true scale so that I can now start to figure out how much cable I'm going to need if I put in particular cable runs. We do have other enhancements where we have improvements on the cable bundling. Cable bundling is as if we did 7 or 8 cables run together. They bind together, then go out to the individual devices. We can color the different cables, and we can add color bins, because as we know, we're not supposed to pull across fluorescent lights or water lines, and 90-degree turns or 45-degree turns according to what's following the wall. So you can actually do those type of things in real a physical simulation, so the student gets the idea of installing cables in a real building. So with Packet Tracer 7 and what enhancements have been made to physical mode, it allows you to create some multiple complex containers. In this case, this is a smart health room, and so what we have here is we have the city right here. This is our actual city container. Inside the city container, we have the doctor's home office, which opens up into this type of container with a different environment. Then we also have the remote clinic, and the remote clinic is sitting over here in a different part of the city with different sensors. And we have the actual hospital clinic area, which sits in this part of the city. So you actually can give the student a good idea of what's going on, making these connections, and of course connecting into the internet cloud, and could also be using the cell tower. So it really gives a student a great idea of what's going on in the real world with networking and IoE devices. Another example is, let's say we have this multi-layered building. In other words, this is a 5-story building. Well, now I have the ability to show 5 different containers, each of these containers with a different height that connects into this particular network. So this is its own building with each individual floor as a separate container. So then we could open these up, and these containers would then be able to make a connection with the cables connected all together as a 5-story building. Be quite the project inside of Packet Tracer. And you'd be able to check cable lengths and whether they would work or not, so you could get a really good idea of how to write up a request for a proposal, in fact, for your student. So in summary, the new features in the enhanced physical mode, again, we have customized generic containers, so you can make rooms, closets, you can make new buildings, you can make a new city if you wanted to, you can make it whatever size that you would like. The environmental settings are going to transfer between containers, so whatever you do to one building, if you turn the heat up too much, it may transfer through the wall and cause something to happen to a different building, which is more real life of what's going on. Also, we have 3D container sizing, so now we have height inside these different containers in physical mode. This again will allow a 3-dimensional idea of how the network is installed. And then we also have icons for the different containers, so you can make them appear to be whatever you would like in the physical mode. The design opportunities are expanded. Each container again has its own environments, so simulations of the IoE sensors can show all the different logic in a smart device being used in the container. You can make a smart hospital, you can make smart industry conveyor lines, things like this, and actually show how they work inside a Packet Tracer. Gives us multi-floor applications. We now have height that helps us, and again takes a complicated network. You can study it, you can look at how the actual installation would have to be done. Really gives the student a fantastic heads-up simulation without walking through large factories, that kind of thing, saving time and giving them more practice and a better understanding of how the physical layer works inside a network when connecting IoE devices even. Again, thank you. The best thing you can do is go out, use a sample file, and try these. Put in a background container. Put in new backgrounds, pull in some network devices, turn the grid marks on. Go use these things. That makes it even more valuable to you and to your students.